Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 states that under certain conditions, unauthorized use of copyrighted material is allowed as fair use. This applies to purposes like criticism, commentary, teaching, news reporting, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use is a use permitted under the copyright statute, which would otherwise be considered infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and let's get into today's video. Welcome back to Tiamat's Evolution, hosted by your girl, Michelle, the Chocolate Siren. So I hope you all are doing well today. In this video, I may be talking about something that's a bit controversial, but I'm going to go ahead and play some videos and we're going to read some articles to basically prove my point. And my point is a lot of people are not going to make this shift, i.e. non-melanated, non-melanin dominated people are not going to make this shift. And it is what it is. Now, what do I mean by this shift? This Earth is shifting into 5D. Tiamat is taking back her realm, and Earth is evolving. That's why you're seeing all of these earthquakes and other things that are going on. But it's not just earthquakes. It's not just volcanoes. It's not just wildfires and floods that are happening, dams breaking, the Earth is shifting. It's not just that. The Earth is also demonstrating a form of chemical warfare, okay? And she's unleashing a form of chemical warfare on a specific group of people, non-melanin dominated people. And this is not an opinion, this is a fact. And I'm going to present my facts in this video. So whether you like it or not, if you can disagree with the facts, if you can scientifically disprove these facts, make a video and tag me in it. Other than that, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up after I present my evidence, okay? So let's go ahead and let me share my screen so we can jump right into it. Now, as you can see, this video says, mystery disease in Philadelphia is targeting Y people. Now, I first saw this on the True Royal Family YouTube channel. And this was when I first started YouTube. I've deleted those channels since because, again, I'm personally always evolving and I just cannot continue to do the same thing. So let's go ahead and get into this video so you all can see what I'm talking about here.
Well, a medical mystery is being investigated in Montgomery County. It's a lung infection that has been linked to water.
Health reporter Stephanie Stahl says the illness is rare, but the number of patients is growing.
The unlikely victims are white, thin, postmenopausal women who live in affluent neighborhoods around the main line.
It's frightening, I think.
It's a lung infection similar to tuberculosis that's caused by a bacteria found all over, in soil, the air, and mainly in water.
This is in all of our water. We're all exposed to it every day when we take a shower. This is being researched very extensively right now.
Mainline health pulmonologist Leah Landy does not want to cause unnecessary hysteria, emphasizing that the lung infection called non-tuberculous mycobacteria, or NTM, is very rare. She treats about 100 patients.
NTM is killing only white women. Let's keep this in mind, okay? This is what this story is telling us. Keep that in mind. Let's continue.
A year. Symptoms include a cough and fatigue.
All of this white area, that's all infection and inflammation.
A study from the American Thoracic Society and NIH in 2012 identified 7 significant clusters of NTM around the country, one being the greater Philadelphia metropolitan area, with significant clusters found in Montgomery County.
At the end of the day, you're thinking, have you hurt yourself by drinking water?
Karen McCarthy, who lives in nearby.
Has she hurt herself by drinking water? Now ask yourself, what natural being is unalived from drinking water? I want you to think about this. Okay? Don't get in my comment section talking crazy and talking slick and talking greasy. We are thinking logically here. This is not about emotion. This is about logic. What being that is natural to the planet is unalived by drinking water?
Westchester was diagnosed with NTM in May. Now you have to live on antibiotics.
Until next September, October.
She's installed a special water filter, careful to avoid re-exposure. The 54-year-old struggles with fatigue and respiratory issues, but makes sure to stay in shape, which ironically made her more susceptible. Were you shocked when you found out that being healthy and fit put you at risk for this?
Oh, absolutely.
The NIH report also noted that most NTM patients had higher education and income levels, with the infection being difficult to identify.
The diagnosis.
Now, how does an infection target people with higher education and income levels? HIV, because apparently you can't say that on YouTube. You can't say a lot of things on YouTube. So HIV, or the precursor to AIDS, has no discrimination, but this does. And it's targeting upper or to middle upper class women. Isn't that interesting? It's specifically targeting a very minute specific group of people. That's very interesting. We'll continue.
This is tricky. It often is delayed. There's often, I'll see patients as well, others that have been undiagnosed for several years.
Dr. Landy says the bacteria can be especially dangerous when it's aerosolized in the shower or from a humidifier, even with dirt that blows in the air.
I didn't know what NTM was. I didn't know how to pronounce it.
Philip Lippman says he learned fast after his wife, Fern, was diagnosed. They lived in another NTM hotspot, Florida. The lung infection eventually killed her.
She was such an amazing person, but she's in my heart. She's with our children.
But not everyone is at risk. Doctors say African Americans and people who are overweight tend not to get NTM, but this bacteria that causes it is everywhere. So the question is, why do only certain people get the infection?
That's a good question. So you all get in the comment section below and you let me know why you think that's happening. Now, this is from Good Morning America. This is a year ago. Okay. It says, family of woman who passed away from water intoxication. Water intoxication. I've never heard of such a thing. However, while we're waiting for this, before we get into this, I do remember being in boot camp when I was in the Air Force. And there was this one kid who passed away because he drank too much water. And literally he boiled from the inside out. And he was a white kid. Okay. It was a young white male around the age of 18 years old. He drank too much water. And while we were on what we called our warrior walk, it was very hot outside, and he literally boiled until he was no longer alive. Let's just say that. So, but it didn't happen to any of the melanated children. The Nubian people were fine. We were good. You know, if anything, we just went to the bathroom more. Some of us didn't even want to drink all that water that they were forcing us to drink. We didn't need it. So we were doing just fine, synthesizing energy from the sun. So, yeah, just wanted to put that out there.
This morning, the family of 35-year-old mother of two, Ashley Summers, speaking out to warn others after she passed away over the 4th of July weekend from what doctors told them was water intoxication.
At one point during the day, she started getting a bad headache. So she was drinking a lot of water.
Ashley's brother saying she was spending the holiday at the lake with her family when she started to feel intensely dehydrated. So
let's get the facts before we continue. They were at the lake. Okay. So she was already exposed to a large natural body of water. Spirit is just, y'all know all of my videos are going to come from a spiritual perspective. I am a channeler, I am a diviner, I'm a water sign, so a double water sign, and I have a lot of psychic ability. So I'm just going to keep it all the way real. So Spirit wants me to say this. I can't do things the way everybody else does it. I have to do it my way. I'm very unique. It is what it is. Now, she was already very close to a large body of water. And if any of you know about water, you know about the goddess Oshun, you know about the goddess Yeminya, and how a lot of people like to call them evil forces. You know about sirens, you know about mermaids, you know about the energy of water. And water is divine feminine energy, okay? Um, and this earth is covered in it. And you do not disrespect the mother's daughters and think you're going to make it into this shift. Let's just go ahead and say that. You just don't. Okay? But we'll get into that later. So I just want you to keep that in mind. She was by a lake, by a large body of water, while drinking a large amount of water.
She drank the equivalent of 4 16-ounce bottles of water in just 20 minutes. That's the amount doctors say an average adult woman should consume in an entire day.
She felt dizzy and had this headache. They got home. She walked across the garage to go into the house, and she passed out in the garage.
Water intoxication is a rare but dangerous condition caused by drinking too much water too fast, which upsets the electrolyte balance in the body. It can present with confusion, disorientation, nausea, and vomiting. Doctors say early detection is key.
The general recommendation is, 2 liters of water per day on average per person. And that's throughout the day. But you also don't want to consume more than 1 liter per hour.
Ashley's family now trying to turn her sudden and tragic loss into a life-saving lesson.
If she would have spaced out her water consumption, she probably would be alive today.
Thinking of that family, and this truly could be life-saving. So again, water intoxication is rare, but doctors say avoid drinking more than a liter per hour. That's about 2 standard 16.9 ounces of water like this one. You want to spread that water intake throughout the day, guys.
Good information, Ariel, and as you say.
Yeah, okay. Never heard of it. Never heard of it in my life. All right, so let's take a look at this article really quick. This is from Melanoid Nation. And so shout out to the goddess. Now, Melanoid Nation, mysterious disease in Philadelphia is targeting Y people. Again, not my words. You can literally see it. You see this young lady laying in a hospital bed. And it says, a mysterious medical disease is only targeting white people is being investigated in the Montgomery County, PA area. Doctors say that it's a lung infection that has been linked to water. Okay, this disease is called NTM. So it's a lung infection similar to tuberculosis that is caused by a bacteria found mainly in water, but also in soil and in the air. Soil and in the air. And isn't that wild? It's likely victims are white, thin, post-menopausal women who live in an affluent neighborhood. I'm sorry. Reading that is crazy to me. It's crazy to me. And you'll see why I say that by the end of this video. Because I got some other articles up here that we're going to look at. And you're not going to be able to get away from this. So I just find it very interesting. And from what I've heard, Philadelphia is a very racist area. These people are extremely racist, extremely elitist. They think they're better than everybody. The city of brotherly love, but there is no love from what I've heard. Now look at this. Look at the comment. Now, if we can only figure out how to develop a disease to target Arabs in North Africa. Rick. I'm just going to be quiet for a second. Do you see that? Do you see the level of ignorance and hate? Now, if we can only figure out how to develop a disease to target Arabs in North Africa, Rick says. Okay, of course he is, because an actual full human being wouldn't even have that thought. Thank you. Thank you. And this is the thing that gets me. This is what really gets me. Um the fact that somebody would even say that, not say, let's pray for our women, I hope that these women get better, anything like that. No, 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 no. No, no. That's crazy. And then this one comes in and tries to clean it up. This doesn't even make any sense. This is stupid. She said what she meant, right? Let's highlight that again. She said what she meant. Why are you trying to redirect harm to African Americans? She said Arabs, deal with it. Does that make it better? Does that make it any better? And see, these comments are really just going to prove my point of my video. This is why I said white people are not going to make the shift. Period and point blank. And then this comment says, white people know that their race is on its last leg. So it is what it is. You can read that for yourself. Pause to read. I'm going to move on. Okay, it is what it is. Now, this is another, this is the NTM. Let's move on. Okay, now look at this. New study finds alarming levels of plastic accumulation in human brains. I find this to be very interesting. I'm glad I found videos, because I found most of this stuff through articles, and I didn't want to give you guys too many articles because I honestly don't want this video to be too long. But let's go ahead and listen to this.
In today's Health Watch, a new study has found an alarming amount of plastic in our brains. Researchers at the University of New Mexico say they found the amount of plastic in the brain is estimated to be the equivalent of a standard plastic spoon. This standard plastic spoon. CBS News medical contributor Dr. Celine Gounder joins us once again to talk about this. Good morning.
Good morning.
I have to jump in and say this. I have to. Because you have a certain group of divestors, men and women, who divested from the so-called Black community. And one of the things that they do is praise white women and white men for their ingenuity and for this world that we live in, and how they love having running water, as if our ancestors didn't have running water. Basically, these are highly educated, uneducated people. Cognitive dissonance is a mental illness. And although I am all for people marrying and procreating with whomever they choose to, because at the end of the day, it is none of my business. And so you choose and you pick your battles, and that is not a battle that I choose to fight, because it's none of my business who someone lays with and who they have children with. However, to completely dismiss the malfunction, the poisoning of water, the poisoning of air, the poisoning of the soil, the frankenfoods that we have going on, putting dyes in people's food. Everything is poisoned. Everything is artificial. I've never heard of such a thing. The first time that I heard of GMO food, I was shocked. Like, what the hell is this? What's the difference between organic and non-organic? Made absolutely no sense to me, because these people are out here trying to take over nature. And Tiamat has had enough of the bullshit. Let's just go ahead and keep it real. The earth has had enough of the bullshit. You cannot replicate nature, and you cannot do things like this, and you try to take her place, and you think you are not going to pay the cost. It costs to be the boss. And when you try to challenge nature, nature is going to take you out via soil, via the air, by your food, and in any way possible. Floods, fires, all of that. She's going to take you out. You have a certain group of our people who call themselves true Christian Hebrew Israelites. And they like to, liken all of this and give all of this glory to their Most High, Yeshalaral and Yahuwah and blah, 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 blah. Ain't no male God running shit. Okay? Period. End. Point blank. This is the divine mother whooping ass all day, every day. Okay? The Holy Spirit is not delegated or limited to earth, like these males love to say, our earthly mother of wisdom only on earth. Oh, shut the fuck up. Okay? It's just more patriarchy and bullshit. The Holy Spirit is the great mother. It's her divine energy. It's her small, still voice that sits within her children that tells us the truth. Wisdom is not delegated or limited to just earth. It's cosmic. She's everywhere. She is the beginning. It's not alpha and omega. It's omega and then alpha. The first sound that the universe ever made is Om. Okay? Alpha comes last. Everything that these people teach you, you have to reverse it. Okay? Because they are the exact opposite to nature. Again, I ask, what is of nature that is unalived by water, air, and soil? Only that which is unnatural. That's the only answer that you can come to.
So, Celine,
I'm not relieved it's not a big spoon. It's only a standard spoon. Oh, gosh.
So before we even break down what is potentially damaging us, what...
These are weird ass people that they think that this is funny, but we'll continue because this is sadistic.
What exactly are microplastics? Describe it for us.
So when plastic breaks down, it breaks down into smaller and smaller components. Microplastics are 0.5 centimeter or less, so still pretty significant in size.
So how are they getting into our bodies? And the question is, why is it concerning? I don't have a medical degree to know that it's pretty concerning.
But I want to know how they're getting into our bodies.
Yes.
Yeah,
Are you saying if we eat off of this spoon, we're getting microplastics?
From the spoon, you might be getting what we call nanoplastics, which are even smaller in size. You would see them under the size of, or under a microscope. But what's happening is as the plastics break down, they're getting into the groundwater. They're getting absorbed by plants, taken in by animals. And so when we drink water, when we eat plants, when we eat animals, we are taking in those plastics as well. And we're finding them all over the body, not just the brain, but the blood, the lungs, the heart, the arteries, the gut, the liver, the kidneys, breast milk, the placenta, even the testes and penis. So like everywhere in the body.
So what you're telling me is that my brain is 99% brain and basically 1% plastic spoon?
We are finding plastic, about the amount of a plastic spoon in the brain.
So how do you reduce it? I was watching something on TV the other day, eating out of a black plastic container.
Yes, or drinking from plastic water bottles.
Or drinking from plastic water bottles, and they were saying don't do that.
But is it hurting us? I mean, is there evidence that we're actually being hurt?
Well, there are concerns that this could be causing any number of conditions. Could it be increasing the risk of stroke or heart attack? Could it be increasing the risk of cancer, inflammatory bowel disease, infertility? So there are any number of things, preterm birth. The research is very much in its infancy, but there are some important questions being asked as to how to prevent or reduce our exposure. Switch from plastic bottles to stainless steel or glass bottles. Do not reheat your food in contact with plastic. That is really important. So move it to a glass dish or your plate. Yeah, not in plastic. And then finally, switch out your cutting boards. Don't use plastic cutting boards. Use either wood or stone cutting boards.
I knew that one too. Yeah, wow. Okay, Dr. Celine Gowner,
From the spoon, you might be getting what we call nanoplastics, which
let's go back.
And the question is, why is it concerning? I don't have a medical degree to know that it's pretty concerning.
But I want to know how they're getting into our bodies.
Yes.
Yeah,
Are you saying if we eat off of this spoon, we're getting microplastics?
From the spoon, you might be getting what we call nanoplastics, which are even smaller in size. You would see them under the size of, or under a microscope. But what's happening is as the plastics break down, they're getting into the groundwater. They're getting absorbed by plants, taken in by animals. And so when we drink water, when we getting into the groundwater, they're the size of, or under a microscope. But what's happening is as the plastics break down, they're getting into the groundwater. They're getting absorbed by plants,
So as the plastics break down, they're getting into the groundwater. Let's just stop and think about this for a second. Let's just pause and just let that muse over in your mind. Let this muse over in your mind. People love coming up with new inventions and just doing this and doing that. It's so great. We're going to make so much money. It makes everything so convenient. And they're slowly killing themselves and the planet and everything else. What else is it getting into? Tell us, Doc.
Taken in by animals. And so when we drink water,
So the animals, the fish, the cows, the birds. So it's in the groundwater, and it's where else?
We eat plants, when we eat animals.
It's in the damn plants. The organic and the non-organic ones. Microplastics in everything. The water, the soil, and then you wonder why the earth is fighting back and taking out certain people on this planet. And trust and believe it's not just skinny white women with a high income and a great education. But that's just who they're going to tell you about. I think this is just outrageous. So I just wanted to go back and listen to that again. I wanted y'all to hear that. Okay, we don't want to miss nothing. Now check this out. Researchers look for a link between air pollution and brain disease. I'm telling you, Tiamat's not playing. Okay, she's had enough of the bullshit. And sis is not playing. She taking people up out of here. You're not going to poison her planet. You're not going to poison the soil. You're not going to poison the water. You're not going to poison the air. You're not going to poison the animals. You're not going to poison the plants. And you're not going to pay for it. It's just not going to happen.
New research is raising important questions about the effect of air pollution, not only on our lungs, but on our brains. It's what one study called an urgent public health concern. The issue, how much and to what extent are airborne contaminants linked to neurological diseases like Alzheimer's? Jeffrey Brown has more.
Research in this area has been building for years with many links now seen, but much still uncertain. Dr. Deborah Corey-Slechter focuses her studies on environmental health and the brain at the University of Rochester Medical Center, and she joins us now. Thanks for being with us. You know, you and others see a growing public health issue here. Explain the concern. I mean, how does air pollution impact the brain and possibly lead to neurological disease?
Now, before we let the expert, there's always an expert, right? Continue. Please keep in mind this video is for educational purposes. Please be educated. Keep your emotions out of the chat. Keep your emotions out of the comment section. This is about education. I want us to logically think about all of this, okay? So let's be logical. Let's be scientific about it. Let's be thorough in our research, okay? So we're just getting this information, and you ask yourself the questions. If you're emotional about it, journal about it, all right?
Well, we've known that air pollution has effects on the heart and the lung for a very long time, but it's really only been in about the past 10 years that attention has been directed to its effects on the brain. And over that period of time, there's been a growing body of scientific evidence showing associations between exposures to air pollution and a real wide variety of neurological diseases and disorders. It has included neurodevelopmental disorders like autism, attention deficit, hyperactivity disorder, as well as neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, etc. How that's happening, we still don't fully understand, but
she doesn't fully understand air pollution coming from factories. You mean like making vehicles and utilizing the earth's blood that you call fossil fuels and putting them in cars and having people drive around and use them and put that into the air and pollute the air over decades? You don't know. You mean having multimillionaires and trillionaires and billionaires who get their own private jets to zoom back and forth in the sky and, spread pollution that way, you mean factories that are making paper, cutting down trees so they can make paper, get lumber so they can build houses, making cabinets for nice kitchens for people to have in their upper class, neighborhoods and all of that good stuff, cheap ass kitchen countertops. You don't know where this pollution is coming from? You don't see all of that pollution when people are outside cutting things and trimming stuff and creating stuff, all of this sawdust and all of this different things that are floating into the air and particles that are floating into the air. I don't have it in this video, but I suggest you all look up the research of the Hispanic population that's needing lung transplant. All of these Mexican people that are needing lung transplants because they've been working in construction, making countertops, and how the particles from the countertops and them cutting the countertops have been getting into their lungs despite them wearing masks and whatnot. They are expiring. They're expiring due to exposure to the particles that get into their lungs while they're making these countertops for these people's beautiful homes. Because Karen just has to have these wonderful countertops, just has to have them. And these people are being taken out over greed and capitalism. But of course she doesn't know, because if she says that she knows and she starts to talk about it, she's going to start talking about these big companies, and they're going to come take her out. She's going to lose her license. They're going to come after her. So of course she doesn't know. She doesn't have any idea how this, the air is being polluted. Of course they don't know. She's paid not to know.
But the fact that it seems to have such a impact on such a variety of neurological diseases and disorders suggests that instead of acting on what are the real unique characteristics of each of those diseases and disorders, air pollution is acting on the features that are shared across these neurological diseases and disorders.
Well, so to be...
Don't sit up there and flash my people in this bullshit. My people don't suffer from no damn Parkinson's disease like that. It ain't even us. And isn't that interesting? Pollution has no boundaries. Do you see how they try to psychologically imprint on your subconscious that this is you too? It has no boundaries. Okay, so why you only got melanated people up there? Why do you need melanated people to see that? Why is this in our neighborhood? Okay, do they have one for the Chinese people in Chinatown? I highly doubt that. Do they have this same mural for white people in majority white neighborhoods? I highly doubt that. Isn't that interesting? PBS News Weekend, that they put this in this damn news hour. Don't you find that interesting? See how people try to psychologically play with you and how they try to program your subconscious with the bullshit. Like, that's wild to me. Nothing gets past me. I see all the shit. This is bull.
Disorders.
Well, so to be clear, at this stage, it's a question of association of pollution.
But the experts look like this. Isn't it? That's that white savior complex all over again. It's the white experts who know everything. It's the white people that are going to save us. They're the ones who are going to come out with the vaccines as they age like sour milk. These are the people that you should always listen to. If it ain't white Jesus, it's the white professor. If it ain't a white professor, it's the white newscaster. If it ain't the white newscaster, it's some other white person that you're supposed to be listening to, because they know every damn thing. Yet they create everything that's everything on the planet, but they still the experts. Isn't that interesting? Cognitive dissonance is a very rampant disease.
And to neurological problems, but not yet clear causation. Is that fair?
I think there is a growing body of experimental data linking or directly showing causal relationships. Air pollution is a very complicated exposure. It's really a mixture of gases and particles, and those particles carry other toxins on them, metals and organics that get into the brain. And so what we really don't understand, one of the things we don't understand, is what are the contaminants that are getting into the brain via those air pollution particles that are.
So she is supposed to tell us, we're supposed to believe, we're supposed to be that stupid, that we're supposed to believe that they cannot look under a microscope, they cannot isolate particles to tell what it is that's in the air pollution that is causing these different neurological diseases. That's just not possible. But at the same time, they can prescribe medicine to help with the symptoms of these neurological disorders. I find that to be very interesting. That's very interesting. That might work on stupid people, but that's not going to work on me. No, that doesn't even make any sense. That's illogical.
Responsible for these neurological diseases and disorders.
As you're studying this, who do you consider most at risk, whether it's by age or by living conditions or geography? Who are you most worried about?
Well, I think we don't fully have the answers to that yet. So one of the things
Yes, you
we
do.
don't yet understand with respect to, for example, neurodevelopmental disorders is what is the period of greatest vulnerability? Is it preconception, or is it in utero, first, second, third trimester, early brain development? We don't know the answers. And with respect to neurodegenerative diseases, one has to remember that this is actually a lifetime exposure. Are neurodegenerative diseases being caused by a cumulative exposure over the lifetime? Or is it exposures that are occurring later as maybe the blood-brain barrier begins to break down, gets a little bit leaky? We don't have answers to those questions as of yet. We really.
Or could it be that your time is up because you're not natural to the planet and your hate for other people, your hate for each other, your hate for the planet, your hate for nature? I mean, you got to understand, these are people who go on safari and unalive animals and then bring the skulls home and hang them up on the wall as trophies. Let that sink in. These are people who think that the earth is a big dumb rock that you can just do whatever you want to. You can just pump the oil, which is her blood. You can just unalive her animals into extinction. You can just unalive millions of people on this planet and brag about it. You can just make up religions, especially Abrahamic religions, brainwash people and control media and treat people like chattel, and nothing ever happens to you. And just invent whatever you want to, and nothing is going to happen to you. Now they're pretending like they don't know what the hell is going on. They know exactly what's going on. This is called retribution. See, I don't want reparations. I want revenge. This is a spiritual war, and I don't give a damn if they got melanin or not. You either on the right side or your ass is on the side that's going to get eliminated. Period, in point blank. They know what the hell is going on, and these people look worried. This man has bags under his eyes. Okay? I mean, they look like they have on skin masks. Their skin is literally melting off their face. These people look terrible. Okay? They look worried. This is stress. Look at these lines in her face. This is stress. They know what the hell is going on, and their time is up. That's why I find it so interesting. We're going to get to that a little later in the video, but I find it so interesting that you have all of these people that look like this, that look like these people here, talking about how we're all one, the new age, we're all going to meditate and raise our vibration, and we're going to do Reiki healing. It's a bit too late for that shit. So there are those of us who are going to survive this shift, and there are many of these people who are not. And the earth is taking them right on out.
Really need to understand what the contaminants are that are in air pollution that are causing these, because then we could go and basically set regulatory policies that might assist in preventing those exposures.
Are there things
Bullshit
you do advise to individuals in terms of behavior or care in this regard?
Well, I don't know that there's much an individual can do. This is really going to be at a national level. We do regulate right now levels of air pollution with specifically what we call PM 2.5 and PM 10. Those are particle sizes. But we know that it's actually the smallest particle size, the ultrafine particles, the nanoparticles, that are the most problematic. They are what carry those toxicants into the body. And we don't regulate those right now. We don't have a system in place to fully assess the data of those kinds of exposures. And so a lot
Of
more
course you
effort
don't.
is going to be needed to address this ultrafine particle component.
Of course they don't, because it would affect the bottom line of their millionaires and their billionaires. And they know that these people would come unalive them right in their kitchen. They'd have somebody come right in their home and take them smooth out and their whole family. They'd find them floating in the backyard in their suburban home in the swimming pool, face down. So we know why they don't have systems in place to regulate this. But y'all still believe in politics. You still believe that your presidents and your senators and all of these people are on your side because there's a black female Republican out there and she's putting it to these people. It's all a show. None of these people give a damn about none of y'all. All they care about is their bottom line. If you still believe in politics, again, you are mentally ill. You have learned nothing from history. And I will not cast my pearls to swine. Continuing on. Now, let's see what this is. What is this? Okay. Now, going back to the spiritual people, you don't go from this. Okay. Okay, we'll just leave it here. Negroes massacred by a rebel mob in Georgia. You don't do things like this, right? You don't do things like this. You don't unalive the original people on this earth. A man was, as you can read that. All right. You don't do stuff like this. Look at that. You don't promote things like this. And then now you think 2 or 3 generations later, 30, 40 years later, your ass is going to meditate into a higher vibration and you going to make this shift. No, it don't work like that. Where did the images of the Tulsa race massacre come from? White photographers took hundreds of photos of the race massacre. Why are they and the whites they photographed still anonymous? Because they're protecting themselves. Running the Negro out of Tulsa. Look at that. If you guys have ever seen, if you have HBO Max, watch the show Watchmen, starring Regina King, and you'll get a clearer picture of it. It's that TV show is wild. It's a great show. It is a great show. I really wish they come back for a second season. But I'm not going to read this article. But yeah, that show will give you like a first-hand encounter, or we'll just say a second-hand encounter, of what it was like to live in those days. Because it does go back to, it starts off in Tulsa, Oklahoma during those race riots. You don't glorify things like this. You don't wave your granddaddy's Confederate flag in your front yard and over the state of Virginia. I've seen the Confederate flag right now to this day still flies in certain areas in the state of Virginia. You don't do shit. Look at this. Just nonchalantly standing over a body. You telling me that now all of a sudden these people have a soul? You telling me somebody with a soul can just stand over a body? Somebody with a soul can just stand there and just look at a deceased person on the ground, just chilling. Oh, it ain't nothing. Oh, let me get a picture of that. Wow, the people back home sure would love to see this. And we're supposed to believe these people have a soul? See, before I continue, let me say this. Black women, you don't owe black men a damn thing. Let me just be clear, okay? We don't look at situations like this and go, oh, we owe them our lives. I'd rather be unalived by a black man than anybody else. No matter what, we supposed to struggle with black men. No, absolutely not. because they don't feel like that about us. They are some of the most disloyal things on the face of the planet. However, to turn around and say, praise this, because you happy you have running water, knowing damn well that it was our people that invented that. We invented that stuff thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of years ago. And that's just being conservative. That ain't nothing new. Plumbing, none of that shit is new. Cell phones, cars, none of it. It's all old technology. But see, you wouldn't know that if you don't study. So if you only let these people educate you, then you're an idiot. You don't do shit like this. If you want to marry a descendant of these people, hey, it is what it is. Damn, at least go get a foreign one. But if you don't marry an American one, you don't sit up here and praise something that has no damn soul. Because if their grandmammies and granddaddies didn't have a damn soul, they ain't got one either. This is despicable. That's absolutely terrible. Look at this shit. You don't tell me that you have a soul and you can do shit like this. These were bombed. You don't sit up and talk shit about your people and how crazy they are and how dangerous they are and how messed up they are if you don't understand how they systematically became that way. These people couldn't even enjoy their own town. When have you, of course they're crazy. Of course they're crazy. Of course they're psychotic. When their food is being poisoned, we just heard non-melanated people say this. Is the food not poisoned? Yes, it is. The air is being poisoned. The water is being poisoned. The animals are being poisoned. The plants are being poisoned. And you can't even live in prosperity because one excuse that this one person may have did something and may not have, more than likely didn't do shit. So-called sexually assaulted a white girl on an elevator, right? And instead of bringing him to justice, that's an excuse for your country to bomb a black town. And you want to tell me in 2025 that these people have a soul? No. They have a spirit. Everything has a spirit. A roach has a spirit. Let that sink in. Okay. A roach has a spirit, but you don't have a soul. When you can put bombs on an airplane and drop them on somebody's town and unalive children, pregnant women, babies, old people, people who are at work, and people who are none awares as to what's going on. How do you fight back against bombs? And you'll have folks sitting up calling our people weak. How? Tell me how. How do you fight back against bombs and grenades? So it's not just people fighting you mano a mano in the street. It's mobs of people mobbing you as you're running from a bombed building. And soon as you exit the building, somebody is pew-pewing you in the head, in the chest, batting you over the head with a metal pipe. And you're telling me these people have a soul? No. It don't work like that. These are God's children. Touch not mine anointed, she said, says the divine mother. And no one is more fierce when it comes to revenge than a mother. You think daddy gonna do something? Oh, baby. A mama ain't no fucking joke. And that's why men don't like to talk about the divine mother, because they know their asses are in for it. And that includes black men. That's why they've suffered so much. So let's look at what the mother has done. Now, these are pictures of North Carolina, specifically Asheville. Now, ain't this a bitch? We didn't need to drop one bomb. Look at what the ancestors did. Floods. Look at all that. Whole town decimated. Look at that. I wish I could enlarge this, but I don't. You guys can see it. Okay? Psychology today. What happens when prejudiced people meditate? God, to laugh because this is just damn ridiculous. Okay, and this is published April 18th, 2016. The same year that this was published. They know that they ass is grass. Now they're trying to say, we got to start meditating, guys. We got to start vibrating on a higher level. If you want to read this article, go look it up. Go look it up. Do your Googles, do your own research. But I find that to be very interesting. Let's see what we can find. This is good.
Nashville, North Carolina, that town is basically cut off from the rest of the state right now. Most of the city is totally submerged in water. You can see a Jeep trying to make its way through the flooding there. Not good at all. The water levels in some spots are as high as street signs. Tree branches, logs, dumpsters floating absolutely everywhere. An old church in the town's historic village has a lot of damage, and the pastor says it's not safe.
Yes, it's historic. Yes, it's beautiful. Yes, it's got an incredible past. There is nothing more important than the lives of the people who make
an incredible past of racism. I never even knew Asheville existed. They talking about this as a tourist destination. I never damn heard of it. I'd never heard of it. Look at that. Absolute devastation. Absolute devastation. You think you're going to hide in the damn mountains with some Mexicans and some Asian people and be racist, and you think you're going to do well, you're going to prosper? Oh no, she can get you anywhere. This ain't no damn elites. This is not a land grab. This is the divine mother. This is Tiamat kicking your ass because you're not her children. And that's just a fact. Looks way worse than Tulsa, don't it? Brand new homes gone. The whole area is decimated. And it's not just Asheville. It's a whole area in North Carolina just gone. Landslides. And can you imagine the numbers of people that have passed away? I'll let you guys do that. Or maybe we'll save that for another video, or maybe in Patreon eventually down the line. I'm still uploading books for you guys for Patreon. But yeah, you think these people are alive? You think just, a couple of hundred people? No, no less than 100,000 people because of Hurricane Helene alone. That's not even including the other natural disasters that have been going on around the world nonstop for the last 10 years. There are volcanoes going off all over the planet right now. You do not poison my people. You do not experiment on my people. Never forget Henrietta Lack and think nothing is going to happen to you. Okay? So you're not going to meditate your way out of this. And there's not going to be a reaping. Everybody's going to reap what they sow. And this is just the beginning. It's only going to get worse. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment in the comment section below. I appreciate you guys for watching, and I'll talk to y'all in the next one.